All right, so if you were with us last week, I started a message series on the last week of Christ's life. And we covered Monday. And if you remember on Monday, Jesus went and he cursed what? Does anybody remember what he cursed? A fig tree. He cursed the fig tree because it looked like it should have figs, but it didn't. And then he went into the temple, and what did he do to the temple? Flipped over tables, chased out the money changers, chased out all the animals, because again, the temple was supposed to be a place where people could worship, but they had made it a den of thieves. So in both examples, Christ took something that looked like it was supposed to be doing something and didn't. And if you remember right, we talked about the number of people that claim Christ in our world, but aren't doing anything for Christ. And we talked about how we need to be active in our faith. Today, we're going to look at what day? Anybody know? Tuesday. Tuesday. It follows Monday, so it only makes sense that we are going to look at Tuesday. And I want y'all to know Tuesday is the most extensive teaching day of the week. It actually covers 5 chapters of the book of Matthew. So you guys need to just make sure you're comfortable because we got 5 chapters worth of preaching to get through. I mean, I got some folks that ain't been here since not Easter, since Thanksgiving. So, I got to catch them all up on everything. No, seriously, I'm going to summarize 4 of the 5 chapters, and then I'm going to preach on the 5th chapter. So as we set the stage in this chapter, it starts off with the scribes and Pharisees questioning Jesus' authority. What gives you the authority to do these things? And Jesus pops off with a question, and I didn't write the question down, and now it escapes me. They couldn't answer him, so we moved on from that. Whoa. All right, iPad. Quit being weird. So, let me catch up. Setting the stage. We're going to be using the account in Matthew chapters 21 through 26. I already said I can't preach the entire section. So, we start off with the parable of the 2 sons. And y'all remember the parable of the 2 sons. The funny thing is that I just used this parable yesterday at my Trace Diaz meeting while talking to one of the guys that was there. You got the one son that, the dad comes out and he says, hey, Russell, I want you to go work out in the fields today. And Russell says, do you remember what you say, Russell? No. And then he's like, okay, fine. James, I want you to go work in the field today. But then later on, Russell's like, man, I really should have done what Dad said. So Russell goes out and works in the field, and James goes and kicks back and plays Xbox because he didn't want to work in the field. And then Jesus says, which one did what the Father asked? The first one, the one that said no, but then eventually went. The one that said yes and didn't go, he just gave lip service to doing what his Father wanted. And I could preach a lot on that because there's a lot of that going on today. Anyway, moving right along, then we have the parable of the tenants, or the bags of money. And I'm not even going to explain that one to you because we just watched it, right? We just watched that parable, so we're going to move on to the wedding banquet. And you had this guy who was throwing a wedding banquet. No one came. And so he got mad and he said, go out and destroy those wretches that chose not to come to my banquet, and killed all those people. And then he said, go out into the highways and the byways and invite anybody you find. And they went out and they invited everybody, and they're like, okay, the banquet hall's full. And he's like, great. He walks in the banquet hall, and there he sees Russell sitting there in a pair of shorts and a t-shirt. And he's like, dude, why aren't you wearing wedding clothes? And then he says, get him out of here. Bind him hand and foot and throw him out, because there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth, because many are called, but few will come. And then they challenged him again, and they said, Jesus, is it right to pay taxes to Caesar? And so I'm just going to go out on a limb and say that for our point of view, is it right to pay taxes to the federal government? Politically aside, Jesus says, bring me a coin. So they brought him a coin, and he's like, whose picture is this? And what did they say? Caesar's. And he said, give to Caesar what is Caesar's and give to God what is God's. And so he shut down that challenge. And then the Sadducees come. And the Sadducees don't believe in the resurrection, which is why they're sad, you see. So they say there was a guy. He got married. He died and didn't have any kids. And so by Jewish custom and law, if you got married and if you died before your wife had a child, guess what had to happen? Your brother had to marry your wife, and then in turn, the first child that was born would not be yours. It would in fact be your brother's. And so it would carry on his name. And so they say, the guy got married, and then he died. They didn't have any kids. And so the brother married the wife, and then he died. They didn't have any kids. And this went on for all 7 brothers. Whose wife will she be in the resurrection? I'm just thinking, after 5 or 6, if I'm the brother, I'm getting scared that I'm got to marry this woman. But in their challenge, Jesus says, you do not understand the law because there will be neither giving nor you will neither give nor be given in marriage in heaven. You will be like the angels. Do you not know the scriptures? God is the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, the God of Jacob. He is not the God of the dead, but of the living. And so Jesus is saying there will be a resurrection. And then we get to the greatest commandment. Who knows what the greatest commandment is? Love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your mind, with all your soul. And the second is like it. Love your neighbor as yourself. Very good. You guys are on top of things this morning. And then they questioned him on whose son. He says, whose son is the Christ anyway? Whose son is the Messiah? And they said, well, he's the son of David. And then Jesus says, well, if he's the son of David, then how is it that David says, my Lord? How can David call him Lord if he is son? And so Jesus is setting himself up as supreme and as the Messiah. And then we had the woes to the teachers of the law. He said, you shut the kingdom of heaven in men's faces. You travel the land and sea to win a single convert. And when he becomes one, you make him twice as much a son of hell. If you swear by the temple, it means nothing, but you swear by the gold of the temple. What makes the gold in the temple worthwhile? It's the temple itself. He says you give 1/10 of all of your spices, but neglect the important things of the law, justice, mercy, faithfulness. You clean the outside, but the inside is filled with filth. It's like you take your cup and you wash the outside so no one can see the dirt on the outside, but then on the inside you got mold and stuff, and you pour that coffee right on top. Ain't nobody wants to drink that stuff. That's nasty. He says you're whitewashed tombs, because what they would do is during the Passover, which Passover was celebrated at Easter, so that's what Jesus was celebrating when Easter took place, the Jews would go in and they would use whatever chemicals they used back then, and they would wash the outside of all of the tombs, because the tombs were hewn in rock. They were in the side of the mountain. They were hewn in rock, and they would wash the outsides of the tombs, and they would make them sparkle. It's been said that on a bright sunny day, it was hard to walk around the area because the sun was gleaming off of these whitewashed tombs. And he says, you whitewash the tombs to make them look beautiful on the outside, but what's on the inside? Dead men's bones. And what's the point? You make yourself look good, you get all dressed up, you go to church, but on the inside you're dead if you're not living for Jesus. And then he says, you build these elaborate tombs for the prophets, yet you guys are the ones that killed them. You notice how that happens? Kind of odd, isn't it? And then he goes through some of the signs of the end of the times. There will be false Christs. There will be wars, rumors of wars. Nation will rise against nation, kingdom against kingdom. There will be famines, earthquakes, persecution. There will be death. The followers of Jesus will be hated by all nations. False prophets will arise. The love of most will grow cold because of the wickedness of the world. The abomination that causes desolation that Daniel spoke of will take place. And then he says, get ready. People will claim Christ, but they won't follow him. And he says, when he comes, you will see him coming in the sky with a loud trumpet blast. So if somebody says to you, hey, I saw Jesus down there by the lake, don't believe him. Because when Jesus comes back, you're going to see it. So if somebody's going to tell you they saw Jesus down by the lake, they didn't see Jesus down by the lake. Now, if somebody wants to tell you that they were down by the lake and they had a meaningful encounter with Jesus and they found Jesus at the lake, hey, praise the Lord, you can find Jesus wherever you are. But if they're trying to tell you they saw the physical body of the Messiah, he didn't come back yet because we would have all seen him. And then Jesus says that the day and hour is unknown for his return, that not even he knows it. And as I say almost every time, I'm pretty sure if God didn't tell Jesus, he ain't going to tell me. I am positive that my Jesus knows more than I know. And then we get to chapter 25. And that's where we will pick up. And I know Hannah has all these scriptures in there. I'm not going to read all of this because it's going to take much time. But Hannah read the passage about the 10 virgins. What? JC read the passage about... I was saying Hannah had the slides and just got stuck on the... Well, I disowned the other one because she thinks my birthday's in May. You got the 10 virgins. And they show up for a wedding. And 5 of them thought ahead and brought oil. Because as Russell always says, 2 is 1, 1 is none. 5 of them had 1 jar of oil. 5 of them had 2 jars of oil. Those that had 2 jars of oil, when midnight came and the cry rang out, the bridegroom is here, they got up and poured the extra oil into their lamps and they were ready to go. They got themselves ready. They got dressed, all that stuff. The other virgins are like, hey, wait a minute. There's not enough oil. I don't have enough oil. Let me have some of yours. And the first set of virgins are like, no, because if I give you some of mine, then neither one of us will have enough. There's not enough. We can't share oil. You got to go buy oil. And so while they were gone, what happened? The bridegroom showed up. They all went into the banquet hall. The door was shut. And guess what? The 5 came back and realized that they were on the outside looking in. And they had been shut out. So hold on to that thought, because we're going to tie these 3 stories together. The next one takes place in verses 14 through 30. Again, I'm not going to read it to you because we just watched the video representation of it in the children's time. You got the 3 servants. One gets 5 bags, one gets 2 bags, one gets 1 bag. The 5-guy bag doubled it. The 2-bag guy doubled it. And the 1-bag guy hid it in the ground and gave back to the master that which he had originally taken. So when the master comes back home, he's happy with the 5, with the 2, but he's mad at the 1. The 5 and the 2 get a reward, and the 1 got the boot. He got kicked out. Not only that, the 1 bag that he had was taken away from him and given in to the guy that had the 5, or 10 at this point, because he was a faithful servant. So again, it's all about preparation and faithfulness. And then we get to the last part of the passage beginning in verse 31, if you want to try to catch up with me, Hannah. When the Son of Man comes in his glory and all the angels with him, he will sit on his glorious throne. All the nations will be gathered before him, and he will separate the people one from another as the shepherd separates the sheep from the goats. He will put the sheep on his right and the goats on his left. Then the king will say to those on his right, come, you who are blessed by my Father, take your inheritance, the kingdom prepared since the creation of the world. For I was hungry, and you gave me something to eat. I was thirsty, and you gave me something to drink. I was a stranger and you invited me in. I needed clothes and you clothed me. I was sick and you looked after me. I was in prison and you came to visit me. When the righteous will answer, Lord, when did we see you hungry and feed you, or thirsty and give you something to drink? When did we see you a stranger and invite you in, or needing clothes and clothe you? When did we see you sick or in prison and go visit you? The king will reply, truly I tell you, whenever you did it for one of the least of these, my brothers and sisters of mine, you did it for me. Then he will say to those on his left, depart from me, ye workers of iniquity. Whoops, sorry, I'm reading and quoting out of a different translation all at the same time. Depart from me, you who are cursed, into eternal fire, prepared for the devil and his angels. For I was hungry, and you gave me something to eat. I was thirsty, and you gave me nothing to drink. I was a stranger, and you did not invite me in. I needed clothes, and you did not clothe me. I was sick and in prison, and you did not look after me. They will answer, Lord, when did we see you hungry or thirsty or a stranger or needing clothes or sick or in prison and not help you? He will reply, truly, whatever you did not do for one of the least of these, you did not do for me. Then they will go away to their eternal punishment. So the sheep go on the right, the goats go on the left. The sheep, he says, come and enter your inheritance, your blessed inheritance, because when I was hungry, thirsty, stranger, needed clothes, you took care of me. When I was sick, you helped me. When I was in prison, you visited me. And they're like, when? And he's like, when you did it for the least of these. And then the ones on the left, he'll say, depart from me, you are cursed, into eternal fire, prepared for the devil and his angels, because when I was hungry, thirsty, a stranger, needed clothes, sick, in prison, you did nothing. You didn't put what you said into practice, which means you didn't really believe what you said. So this entire section of teaching points lead to one thing. And that one thing is Jesus is coming back. I'm sorry. That one thing is that Jesus is coming back. That was better. I mean, honestly, I would think that if I said Jesus is coming back, y'all would get excited up in here. I mean, I don't know about y'all, but I'm getting a little bit weary of this world. I'm getting a little bit weary of all the troubles. I'm getting a little bit weary of all the difficulties. I'm getting a little bit weary of the fact that the older I get, the more my body hurts. I'm ready to go to heaven. I'm ready to spend eternity with my King. I'm ready to see Jesus face to face, to sit at his feet, to worship at his feet day and night, to be able to sing praises to my King. I'm ready to go to heaven. And whenever the Lord is ready to take me, I'm ready. I'm not going to do anything to hurry it up, but I'm also not going to do anything to slow it down. Because I'm ready to go when he wants to call. Jesus is coming back. We may even let me rephrase that. We are seeing signs of it now. Remember the signs that I read off a few minutes ago from this chapter? False Christs, wars. We got any wars going on? We got any rumors of wars going on? Yeah, I heard Katie talking about some this morning that I've never heard of. So, there's even more out there. We got nations rising up against nations. Absolutely. Kingdom against kingdom. Got any famines going on? Got any earthquakes, persecution, death? Christians hated by all nations? False prophets? Do y'all know that, criminy. I forget. It just went out of my head. There's a place, my boss's boss, the vice president of my department, where I work at Emeticis, is in ministry, and he has some partners that are over in the other part of the world. And he was telling us on our Friday morning prayer call that they're being killed by the thousands. Christians are literally being hunted. People are literally being paid for the number of Christians you kill. And Christians have been there for generations. It's not like Missionaries just showed up and started evangelizing this area. They've been there for a long time, but yet they're being killed. And what he said to me was, he said, Stephen, do you know their faith is so strong? When I talk to my ministry partners over there, they tell me, God's got us. God's going to take care of us. God's going to carry us through. And if he doesn't, we'll see you when you get to heaven. They're not worried about it. I truly believe that the more persecution a Christian faces, the stronger their faith is. And the reason that we have so many weak faith Christians in America is because we don't really face persecution. Oh, we might have the person at Walmart. I'm picking on Walmart because Katie's here. We might have the person at Walmart get upset with us if we say Merry Christmas. Or we might have somebody at another store get upset if we say God bless you. Or you might have that occasional person that, when they sneeze in public and you say God bless you, they say no. And very seldom have I ever had, but, once or twice I've had somebody say that I can't pray for them. And I like praying for people. See, I like praying for people. I even wear t-shirts to tell you I'll pray for you. This is my new shirt. I bought it yesterday. I'm excited about it. But here's the thing. Christians are being persecuted at an unprecedented rate in other parts of the country. Oh, we face persecution here, but it's persecution of a word nature. I am not in the least bit worried about any law enforcement type people showing up here, drawing guns, and telling us we have to disband because we are a Christian organization meeting out here. Not worried about it at all. Now, there is a minor worry in the back of my head of somebody coming up that wants to persecute the church and trying to attack us. But, crazy things happen and people go around and shoot up churches all the time. So that's why there's that. But we're not under that kind of persecution. There's nobody out there hunting Christians in America that I know of. And if I'm wrong, feel free to correct me after service. But I don't think that there's anybody out there hunting and killing Christians legally in the United States. Because as far as I know, murder for religious reasons is still illegal in the United States. That could change, but right now, it's still illegal. So we are living in a time and moving closer to a time where Christ is going to come back. And the real question with all of this is, are you ready? Are you ready? When I was a kid, it was okay for us to stay at home by ourselves. Nowadays, I understand that's not really acceptable and kids can't be left alone and all that and it's not as safe and all that. But when I was a kid, my mom would go to work during the summer and I would be home by myself. Or, truthfully, with my brother and sister who are 9 and 13 years younger than me. So I was taking care of them. And guess what my mom would do every time she left? She would give me a list of things that needed to be done before she got home. Guess when I started working on that list? Maybe 10 minutes before she got home. It might have been closer to 5 minutes before she got home. And I am running around trying to get everything taken care of so that everything's done when my mom gets home, because I don't want her to come home and find out that I've been playing with my Star Wars figures all day, or find out that I've been playing with my toy airplane, or find out that I've been, mean to my brother and sister. Let's face it, I was the older brother. It is what it is. I wanted her to come home and find out that I was doing what she said to do. None of us want Jesus to come back and find us doing things that we know we're not supposed to do, but all of us do things we know we're not supposed to do. We do things that we know would not please our Savior, and honestly, every time we do it, we might as well be dropping a coin in a slot machine and pulling that one-armed bandit because we're gambling on whether or not Jesus is going to come back, find us not doing what we're supposed to be doing. I would love nothing more than if Jesus would come back on a Sunday morning while I'm preaching, because at least then I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. Monday through Saturday, I might not be. But Sunday morning, it's a pretty good bet I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. But here's the thing. Are you ready? 5 of the virgins were prepared, 5 were not. 2 of the servants went and spread their wealth to make more wealth for their king. 1 hid it in the ground. We are going to, at some point, stand before Jesus. When he comes back, we are going to stand before the throne of God. And when we do that, he's going to separate the sheep from the goats. He's going to put the sheep over here and the goats over here. And there's only one thing that'll make it happen. Only one thing that'll make it worthwhile. Sam, Randall, and Russell, would you guys come up? Oh, I'm one short. Brian, come on up. You are God.
Oh boy.
You step over there. Brian, step over there with Randall. You're Jesus. All right. So here's how it works. Russell, and if you don't know Russell, raise your hand, is God. And Sam, if you don't know Sam, raise your hand, is Jesus. Randall, if you don't know Randall, raise your hand, is just a guy. Brian, raise your hand. It's just a guy. Here's the way it works. Randall dies. Randall, nope. Stand up, because your physical body died, but your spirit's still alive. You're going to walk up here and you're going to stand about right here in front of God. And what does God see when he looks at you? He sees sin. He sees all of the sin that you've ever committed, because you're standing right in front of a holy God. And guess what? A holy God cannot tolerate sin. But here's the thing. You, during your lifetime, said yes to Jesus. So when you stand up in front of God, Jesus walks over and stands in front of you. Now what does God see? God sees Jesus. God sees Jesus because you said yes to Jesus. And so then God says, go on my right side. And then Brian dies and steps up. What does God see when he looks at Brian? But here's the thing. Brian was always going to say yes to Jesus, but never did.
Ran out of time.
And so what does Jesus do? He just stands there. And then what does God tell Brian? Go to the left. And what was the left? It was the goats. Thank you, guys. See, here's the thing. It does not matter how much money you give to a church. It does not matter how many Sundays or Wednesdays or Thursdays or Fridays or Mondays or Tuesdays or Saturdays you spend working for a religious organization. It does not matter for your eternity and your salvation anything other than, did you say yes to Jesus? Now, all of that other stuff is important, Because if you've truly said yes to Jesus, then you want to grow in Jesus. And so if you want to grow in Jesus and in knowledge of Jesus and in faith, then you're going to spend time in His Word. You're going to spend time with His people. You're going to go to church. You're going to get involved in ministry. You're going to put your money where your mouth is. You're going to do all of those things if you are trying to grow in Jesus. And it's important that we grow in Jesus. But when it comes to standing before God, Randy can't say, oh, but wait a minute. My mama took me to church when I was a kid, and I went to church for 87 years. No, Randy's not 87 yet. I'm just giving him a few more years to live. I went to church for 87 years of my life, and God's going to be like, good. You had 87 years of opportunities to say yes to my son, and you didn't. And before you throw at me that old line that how could a holy and a loving God send someone to hell, let me tell you, God doesn't send anybody to hell. You send yourselves. We all stand condemned already. We all have committed sins. We all have done things that deserve the eternal fires of hell, and Jesus died to pay that price. And if we don't accept it, then we're asking God to send us to hell, and God is respecting us in death. If we choose to ignore Him in life, God will allow us to ignore Him in death. But make no mistake, hell is real. It's not, I'm going to get to go to the party scene. It's not, I don't want to go up to heaven because I'm going to sit on a harp and play. I don't even know how to play a harp. I've never even held a harp. What am I going to do in heaven sitting on a cloud playing a harp? That ain't what heaven's going to be like. But the other side of it is, and I've had people say, well, all my friends are going to be in hell, so that's where I want to be. That's where the party's going to be. There will be no party in hell. It will be eternal torture. It will be eternal damnation. You see, we are all eternal beings. We're going to spend eternity in heaven, or we're going to spend eternity in hell. The question becomes, which way do you want to go? And Jesus is trying to prepare them in this last week of His life. This is the last time Jesus gets to teach in the temple, and what He chooses to teach on is Him coming back and us being ready for Him. I don't know about you, but I'm thinking if it's the last thing He's teaching on, it's probably important. Because unlike us, Jesus knows when His last day is. Jesus knows when His last hour is. We are the light of the world. We are the ones that have to carry the message of the cross to the lost and hurting world. There is a heaven and hell. I said that. You see, the time is drawing close for Christ's return. I believe that. But here's the thing. Even if Christ's return is not for a couple more decades, and I don't know when it's coming back because He hasn't told me yet. And He won't tell me till I see Him in the sky. But here's the thing. Do you know that 106.6 people die every second? According to statistics. That is 6,392 people. No, I'm sorry. 1.8 people die every second. 106.6 people die every minute. 6,392 per hour. That makes it 153,424 people per day. And if you want to take that out to a month, it's 4,653,882 people a month die. You do understand that if you die without Jesus, it's just like not having Jesus when He comes back. You're going to stand before Him, you're going to face Him, and He's going to say, "Depart from me, you workers of iniquity, for I never knew you." And whether you're alive when Jesus comes back or whether you're not, because there's 4 million people going to die this month. 4 million people died in February. Actually, 4.5 million people. It's like playing Russian roulette with your eternity. And if you don't know what Russian roulette was, or probably still is in some places, you take a revolver. You put a bullet in one chamber, and you spin the chamber of the revolver, and you pass it around a circle, put it up to your head, and pull the trigger. You're gambling on whether or not that bullet was in that. And if you don't believe me, I had a friend in the Navy that died playing it. 2 days after we got off cruise. 1 day before Christmas. It's not a game you want to play in life, but it's definitely not a game you want to play with your eternity. Jesus is coming back, or you're going to meet him before that. Either way, the only question that's going to be is, what did you do with Jesus? Paul said in Romans 10:13, everyone who calls on the name of the Lord will be saved. Have you called on the name of the Lord? Have you truly called on the name of the Lord? And are you telling others about your Jesus? We're going to pray. I'm going to ask everybody to bow their heads and close their eyes. Hannah's going to play a song. And if you don't know, if you were to die right now, whether you'd go to heaven or not, then walk up here and talk to me, and I'll show you in the Scriptures how you can know whether you're going to heaven or not. Heavenly Father, thank you for the day you've given us. Thank you for the time that you've given us. Thank you for the opportunity to be here, the opportunity to talk about your second coming, Lord Jesus. You are coming. I don't know when. And you may come before I die. You may come after I die. I don't know. But the bottom line is, any one of us is liable to pass away at any moment. We all know that too well. So, Father, help us. If there's somebody here that hasn't said yes to Jesus, if there's somebody here that hasn't said, I need Jesus in my life, then give them the strength and the courage to come talk to me so that I can show them how they can say yes to Jesus today. In Christ's name that I pray. Amen. Keep your heads bowed.